Hello and welcome to the Monday, October 17th, 2022 edition of the SANS and its Storm Center's Stormcast. My name is Johannes Ulrich and today I'm back in Jacksonville, Florida. First of all, an apology that on Thursday, due to time zone issues, I recorded a Friday podcast actually quite early. Turns out, it was too early as we had an important update to the FortiOS fortiproxy vulnerability just after I recorded. As announced earlier in the week, Horizon 3 AI released then later on Thursday a technical deep dive and a proof of concept exploit. Well, soon after that, we did actually see exploit attempts hitting our honeypots that matched what Horizon 3 published. As usual, at this point, you should consider vulnerable devices that are exposed already exploited. Do not just patch, but investigate devices if there is any evidence of compromise. The root cause of the vulnerability is, yet again, we had this with F5, we had this with VMware, where web servers and web applications just trust headers that proxies are supposed to set. And yet again, these headers are controlled by the attacker, and with that, authentication and access control is bypassed. So as part of normal operation, a proxy receives the request, then passes it on to the application, but the application implicitly trusts any request with a client IP of 127.0.0.1 and a user agent of report runner, which is easily set by the attacker. And that user agent report runner is exactly what we're seeing in some of the exploit requests against our honeypots. The blog points out again the similarity to what we saw with F5 and VMware. The end result is that this vulnerability is an authentication bypass for the REST API, so the attacker can do whatever the REST API allows them to do. One of the features that's exposed here is the ability to add an SSH key to the authorized keys file on the system, and that's exactly what the proof of concept exploit that Horizon 3 published does. It adds that SSH key, and then an attacker could just use that key to log in. Again, a patch is available and applying it is certainly a must. Also, make sure that the administrative interface is not exposed, including the SSH servers. Exploits against actual devices have also been reported, and appears that, according to some of the Twitter chatter, one of the issues then is that many organizations apparently don't know that they are actually running these FortiGate devices. And talking about headers, we also have yet another bypass of the URL rewrite rule published by Microsoft for the so far unpatched Exchange vulnerability. I'll link to a Twitter thread by Will Dorman for details, as by the time you listen to this, maybe there has been yet another updated rule for Microsoft and yet another bypass for it. In diaries this weekend, the DA looked at an HTML file we received from a reader. The HTML file Eric received and forwarded to us included two base64 encoded images, a GIF and an SVG file. The GIF looked normal, while the SVG file had 0.5 megabyte of base64 encoded data included, and that data then decoded to a password protected zip file. The password, of course, was included as part of the HTML text, and once unzipped, you ended up with an ISO file that contained QBot. Didier, as usual, uses his Python scripts in order to explain how to analyze a document like that. In another diary this week, Guy looked at a little bit of a more targeted malware this weekend. The malware Guy analyzed is a PDF claiming to be a COVID declaration for municipal suppliers. But the overall process is very similar in that you end up with an ISO file full of malware. Just it starts out with a PDF in this case, and typically all these different encoding and obfuscation techniques, they're ending up sort of hiding this more or less similar malware from any inspection that often happens sort of in line. And a reminder that VMware ESXi 6.5 and 6.7 have reached end of life last week. There are no more updates, including no more security updates for these versions. This is important because apparently, according to a scan that Landscope did, there are still several tens of thousands of VMware ESXi servers of these versions exposed to the internet. I think the fact that the servers are exposed is probably as big of an issue as they no longer are receiving security updates. In recent years, VMware servers have been a real large and popular target, in particular for some of the more interesting and sophisticated exploits. Well, and this is it for today. Thanks for listening, and talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.